It was just me and my contraption, this cardboard contraption called the Girlbox. My name is Alex, and I have two artworks in Top Arts this year. The first one is titled Primitive Skin, and that is a latex and fine liner piece, which is supposed to imitate a kind of shed human skin, if such a thing were to exist. And the second artwork is titled Girlbox, and that's a multimedia piece comprised of a sculpture and a video accompaniment. The starting point for both of the artworks, I suppose, was the overarching theme that I chose for the year, that being invisible connections. As the year progressed, I chose to explore it from different perspectives, such as connection between objects and people, like the possessions and their owner. Then for Girlbox, that became connection between the conscious and the subconscious. And ultimately, for the final Primitive Skin, I landed on connection between past self and present self. For these pieces specifically, I was very inspired by some of the artists that I studied over the course of the year, like Peter Burke, for example. He will often construct these really formalized structures or contraptions that engage audience participation in some way. They'll complete these really futile tasks, but in that futility there's some sort of personal reflection or philosophical question that's posed, and I think that's really hilarious, the way he executes that. So I think that definitely had an influence on me making Girlbox and exploring the kind of futility of objects that can still evoke emotional responses. Primitive Skin, the body of the suit is entirely liquid latex. That was applied in multiple layers with drying in between, and once I achieved my desired opacity, I think it was like 4 layers to get the kind of translucent skin-like texture. There was just a slit cut in the back, and then it was all peeled off like a wetsuit type of thing. And as for the fine liner graphics, they were achieved through the technique of stippling, which is essentially like constructing an image out of thousands and thousands and thousands of tiny little dots. Yeah, kind of like a stick and poke tattoo is how it appears, yeah. As for Girlbox, that one is predominantly cardboard, of course. I couldn't actually find a cardboard box that was the perfect size for what I desired, so I just made it out of scrap with gum tape. And then we took some all-terrain wheels off this random trolley we found in a shed at school, and we attached that via a wooden rod through the back of the box, and then just bendable wire for the coat hangers and the antenna. And as for the video, that was filmed on, I think, a Sony Handycam camcorder that I borrowed off my friend for the kind of grainy, bloomy visuals, and that was all edited together on Adobe Premiere Pro. One piece of advice I would give is to try and pick as broad a theme as possible, because that will give you room to move around and experiment and ultimately keep yourself engaged and passionate about what you're making. And I would also say to begin thinking about things much, much earlier than you think you need to. Like, that's actually a piece of advice my media teacher gave me, but it rings very true, because by the end of year 11, I already had a lot of ideas brewing for themes I would want to investigate or things I would want to create during year 12. So that meant that I could amply prepare for every single step of Unit 3-4 without wasting too much time or stressing out completely, so yeah.